Bad Times at the El Royale is directed by Drew Goddard and stars quite a big cast. You got Jeff Bridges, John Hamm, Dakota Johnson, and
Chris Hemsworth
and others. And this movie, basically, not to try to go into spoilers, it deals with 7 strangers that are at this hotel that are all there at pretty much at the wrong place at the wrong time, and some stuff happens to where they end up getting some bad stuff goes down, and it becomes a night to survive. Basically, that we'll leave it there because we won't go into any other detail. Now, here's some backstory for you. Basically, this movie was directed by Drew Goddard, who, if you remember, he actually directed The Cabin in the Woods, and he also wrote The First Cloverfield and World War Z as well.
Yeah.
And I've actually been a fan of the guy's work. I've really enjoyed all of his films. I haven't watched World War Z, but...
I didn't like it. I hated World War Z. I thought that was probably like... I didn't really look at all his filmography, but from what I've seen, it is his worst movie. And I know a lot of people like it. I thought it was trash.
Yeah. And this movie really got me curious because I liked that it basically, from the trailers, it kind of like seemed like it was going to be a cross between like Pulp Fiction and like Identity from like the one with John Cusack. Yeah. From the whole like hotel and it's in the rain and everything.
Yeah, and they had an interesting idea in the trailer, so I was like, okay, I can get into this.
Yeah, and so lo and behold, after upon seeing the movie, I could say that it was quite entertaining. It had its flaws, but it did its job.
Yeah, it did its job. It was a pretty decent film. Like you said, it does have some flaws. We'll get into it here in a second. Unfortunately, because we're not going to have a spoiler thing, I can't really go into a lot of my flaws because it would be spoiling it. But I think I can word around without spoiling it.
So to get my pros out of the way, the cast is all fantastic. I really enjoyed all their... I liked all their backstories that they give us and everything, because basically the way the movie is structured, it is very similar to Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
How they have like title cards that come up, and you have like characters' backstories that are introduced.
Basically, that's one of my pros. Is other than the cast, which everybody did phenomenal.
Even Dakota Johnson, who at this point, I'm glad that she's taken other roles besides the 50 Shades.
Well, they're
movies.
over with finally.
Finally, yeah.
Thank God. She had to fucking worry about making those motherfuckers and not really doing anything else. And now it's over with. It's like, okay, now I can take on other projects. You should have took on other projects to get go.
Yeah.
Because those fucking movies were terrible. And well, anyways, the cast was phenomenal, and everybody did great. I love their backstory. But like what you just brought up while we're on the subject, that's another one of my pros. This movie takes a lot of like reminisce from Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
It has his style. Like the director was really into his work in like Pulp Fiction and Hateful Eight especially. This movie does that kind of structure, and it does kind of like a mix of Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith, where they do the title cards where like Room 5 or Billy Johnson, and then it will go in their backstory.
Yeah.
Just abruptly out of nowhere. And Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith did that a lot in their films, which some can say it can make the plot feel kind of messy, but I kind of like that structure.
I do too, because that's gets to my other pro is if this movie would have came out probably in the mid to late 90s, I guarantee this would have been like, reminiscent of that, because if you remember in the 90s, we had a lot of films that were trying to like cash in on those type of movie on those two directors, and I can see that this one is basically a love letter to those type of movies. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that. And I also got to appreciate the way that the film is going with the story, because you're piecing together a lot of the stuff that's happening to try to figure out what's going on, and then it just keeps giving you twists like back to back, and it's all unexpected. Like I really enjoyed the unpredictability.
The unpredictability is really good in this film, and nobody is safe. Vulnerability just was like off the fucking charts. Motherfuckers you think is gonna like do something, they might die, you don't know. I'm not gonna say it, but I'll just tell you, it had me mind blown in some parts. I'm like, damn, that was quick.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you expect this person to be surviving throughout the entire film, but it's like, holy crap, you know?
There's a lot of that, which is also good. I also like the brutality in this film.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking gory. It doesn't like go too gory, but like it does get some brutal parts.
Like you get parts where people, like, it looks like they're really getting shot. I mean, it really is detailed.
And also, I gotta give a hand to the soundtrack as well too, because the soundtrack, it's reminiscent of all the 70s. Tunes from the 50s to in the 60s. Because it takes place in the 69, I believe.
Oh, does it? Oh,
yeah,
I thought it was 70. Well, anyways, 50s and 60s. I thought a couple of songs made it kind of think in the 70s.
That's what I thought, but the soundtrack was great, and I liked the way that it really pushed a lot of the stakes, because. And then it's really a lot less of a mystery as it is more of like a character piece where everyone has like their own agendas going on, and you're really getting into seeing like how far they're going to go. Yeah. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I also did too.
Now if we have like really any flaws to get into this, we will say that while the movie does piece together a lot of great backstory of the characters, there are some loose ends that I felt like they didn't go into like detail. If like, for example, we won't spoil it, but there's a sequence that happens to where a certain character gets killed, and I'm kind of thinking like, why did this character get killed? That part kind of confused me.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters where their purpose was either... Because everybody's got a different reason of being at this hotel, or a different reason of what they're after. And I just felt like some of it was just grounded, didn't really do much. Yeah. With, like, their purpose really wasn't nothing other than being there at the wrong time. But like he was saying, there's a lot of plot holes in this film where you got like a certain person who is like at the beginning, this certain person is like killed off or whatever, and they're really promoting like they're gonna use like like something like a CIA, just throwing it out there, just some example that they're gonna use that for something big. And it just never brought up again.
Yeah, it seems like it's abandoned.
Yeah, a lot of things get abandoned, even though the film has still got you by the entertainment level. And unlike Pulp Fiction, that really tied everything together perfectly, and everything just was like, it came out in like, full circle. This one kind of does that, but there's a lot of plot holes or a lot of questions that I have that... I mean, instead of coming out perfectly in a circle, like right in that, kind of like what Pulp Fiction did, it's kind of like they get tangled up in something.
Yeah, there's some things that are connected, and then there's some things that aren't. So it doesn't really dive like deep into the kind of things that they bring up. Basically, I'm not meaning this in a bad way. It's a poor man's attempt at Quentin Tarantino's type of work. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's got great ambition. Yeah, it's just that the execution just wasn't like on par.
Yeah, exactly. The execution was not on par. Had Quentin Tarantino maybe would have given this project, I thought it would have been wrote a little bit better. Yeah. In connecting.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. But beyond that, I mean, besides some of the like questionable things like in the writing standpoint, there was probably also a couple times where it did kind of drag just a little bit.
Oh, dude, yeah, the pacing for me, I do kind of, even though it's still, you really are invested, I gotta say that I felt like some scenes that they would go through, like there's this girl that example, this isn't really fucking spoiling it, there's a girl that likes to sing, and it's cool and all, but there's quite a few scenes where she sings and the fucking scene goes on for a little too fucking long.
Yeah, I could understand it. Like because I like the choices that they were going with the songs, I guess I was into it. But I agree, it can drag quite a bit because they do repeat it a lot throughout the entire film.
If you guys think that you listen to a song, it's about 3.5, 4 minutes, a pretty decent long song. Yeah. And some scenes that particular person would literally fucking sing the entire song. I'm like, do we really need all this? Like, can we cut and shave a lot of this out and certain things? Because you really can. Because believe it or not, this movie's almost 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it is. I was really surprised.
Which I would have liked it for them to use that for more. Like, they could have shaved a lot off and then fill that space they shaved off into stuff that I thought needed more background, and that probably would have worked a lot better. Yeah. Like, I mean, you didn't need 6 minutes, 3 different scenes, 6 minutes of her singing.
I got you.
I mean,
But overall, with that being said, I still am glad. I still had a good time with the movie, despite some of the issues that we and him described. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to give the movie a compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
I got the same score as him, compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Fair enough. And for those of you who have also seen Bad Times at the El Royale, let us know in the comments below of what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel and check out some of our other reviews here and on our website at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
Later.